Hello, I'm Joe Ruggiero, and welcome to my podcast, Inspired, and the people that inspire me. I'll be talking to my favorite subjects: interior design, gardening, food, fashion, and old Hollywood history. And thank you for joining me here at the beautiful Calabasas Country Club. And it's really fun to be here and look out at this superb course. And again, thanks to all the staff for making this possible. Today, I'm very excited because I'm going to talk to Karyn Millet. Now, Karyn will not admit this, but she is a world-famous interiors photographer. And after an accomplished career in public relations and publishing, Karyn picked up a camera in 2002 and quickly became the go-to photographer for top interior design professionals. Award-winning Los Angeles-based interior photographer, she's known for her editorial approach to capturing intimate, livable moments for publications. And this is an impressive list of publications. She's been featured in House Beautiful, Traditional Home, Milieu, Luxe Interiors, California Home, Plus Design, Condé Nast Traveler, and Travel and Leisure, and that is just a smidgen. But you've also published several books. Let's meet Karyn Millet. Tell me about your books.
Oh, Joe, thank you for having me on the podcast today. And congratulations on Inspired. I have been enjoying the previous episodes so much, so it's an honor to be here.
Thank you.
So my book projects, I did a book with Annette Tatum called The Well-Dressed Home, which was published by Clarkson Potter, and it talked about how fashion relates to design. I know that's a topic that is one that you enjoy too.
Absolutely.
And that was a real fun project, a lot of work photographing it, as you know from your previous book project. And people were asking me, why don't you do a book? I want to know about your background. Do a book on that. So I got to thinking, and I then did a book called The Accidental Photographer, Dare to Do Something Different. And it's self-published. It's on Amazon. In fact, you wrote the foreword to it.
Oh, yes.
Thank you very much. And you said something about, to me, these photos are beautiful. The world has to see them. And it really made my day. So it talks about reinventing yourself. We'll probably
Tell us about that, because that, I think, is really a wonderful story.
I was in publishing with you and public relations with Victoria King PR for about 14 years. And then I just wanted to do something different. And I picked up a camera, took a couple classes at Santa Monica College, and then because of my editorial contacts, I started getting queries of, can you shoot this bakery? Can you shoot this cheese shop? Can you, shoot this project of ours out in Palm Springs? And I thought, I don't know, can I? And, with digital, it made it really easy to just kind of forge ahead and kind of fake it till you make it. And it all has worked out pretty well. So the book actually talks about fears and worries that you have, and sort of imposter syndrome of, can I really do this? And then overcoming those, and what a difference a day makes. Showing up and it's raining, and how are we ever going to shoot this house? And then, it all works out. You get those moody kind of shots that you wouldn't have got on a sunny day, and there's a reason for it all. So.
But you are the steel magnolia. I mean, you have such determination, and I can only say this because we work together. And tell the story of how we met, because I think that's an indication of where there's a will, there's a way. And I have know of anyone like you that can do what you set out to do, and you do it with such confidence.
Oh, thank you. That was an amazing day that I met you, Joe Ruggiero. Oh, my goodness. So setting the scene, it was at the Pacific Design Center during West Week. I don't know the year. Even if I did, I wouldn't tell it. And I was a design student. And I went back and took a a year of interior design at a junior college, and someone said to me, "Do you know about West Week at the PDC?" I said, "No." So I went by myself from Orange County. I drove up in my little Honda Accord, and I went to the different lectures and, with my student badge just, bold and right there. And at the end of your lecture, I thought, I can go home and get in my little Honda Accord and drive home and think what a great day this was, or I can go up and I can say something. And the person I was actually planning to say something to was Nancy Novigrod, who was the editor-in-chief of House and Garden at the time, because I'd written a letter to someone on her staff, and that was my only connection. So as my heart was beating out of my chest, I went forward to the stage, and I never spoke to Nancy Novigrod, but I spoke to Michael Petrancola, who used to work for you back in the day and was working at House and Garden. He was the one who actually answered my letter and said, "Well, you should meet Joe Ruggiero." I'm like, oh my gosh, he was on stage, and there I am with everybody's badge said editor, publisher, and there was my badge that said student. And I remember exactly what I had on and everything that day. And you gave me the biggest smile, like you're smiling right now, and said, "We're always looking for, energetic, creative young people. Here's my card." I could not believe my luck. And I said goodbye, and then I went to a payphone to call my mom to tell her how excited I was, and you walked by, and I went silent because I was just talking about you and how excited I was. And I believe it was about 2 weeks later I was working for you.
Yes, I hired you on the spot. I love happy, peppy people. But I think the thing that is so amazing about the task at hand and the way you approach everything you do is with determination. And I think that is amazing. And I think that I interviewed my daughter Beth, and she said, if you can see it, you can be it, And I think that you had the vision of what you wanted to do. And then when I did HGTV, you were absolutely instrumental in providing all of the countries we went to, because at the time you were working in public relations, representing these incredible properties. I'll never forget Baden-Baden and Jamaica and the Marion in Dublin. And I mean, it just goes on, and we couldn't have done it without your help.
Oh, thank you. Joe, you actually got me that job for Victoria King Public Relations.
I guess I did.
You did. In fact, Vicki King and I
Now,
were...
wait a minute. I'm going to sound like Johnny Appleseed, but whatever. Yeah, I do sell my talents.
Well, it's true. In fact, Vicki and I, we were actually shooting a hotel down in Mexico City last week, and we were recounting that story again of how it worked and how you remembered her from her New York days. And anyway, when the magazine sold and we're trying to figure out what's next, you introduced me to Victoria King, and I was her first hire and became her vice president and worked for her for 11 years, representing these amazing hotels, as you just mentioned. And then you started, the world of design, right?
Right.
The title?
Well, we had 89 million followers at that point for HGTV, so we were really coming up with ideas. I love to travel. Beth, my daughter, was my producer at the time and traveled with me all over the world. But your properties were 5-star. I mean, they were really incredible properties.
They really were. And they all had design elements. The Marion in Dublin was 4 Georgian townhouses that were, made into a hotel. When you came up, as you may recall, you felt like you were just coming into your own house.
Right.
It didn't feel like
it was right across
hotel.
the street from Parliament
in
Dublin.
That's true. Yeah. And Brenner's Park in Baden-Baden was over 100 years old.
I'll never forget sitting on the terrace in Baden-Baden. It was like something out of The Sound of Music. It was just such a magical place.
Yes.
And you made it possible, and as you do. But I'm getting away from myself because I would like to go back to where you have photographed some of the most interesting houses in the world. And let's talk about the location in Laguna, I think it was Laguna,
Yes.
that belonged to a silent screen star.
Yes, this one was just a very recent shoot. So it was for Wendy Young, and she's based down in Orange County, very talented designer, and she fell in love with this project too. It has its own lighthouse,
Wow.
and it's on the historic register, and it is. There were actually 4 structures. There's the main house, a guest house, a boathouse that literally has the bottom floor is from a boat with the teak and holly flooring, portholes, the whole bit. And then there's this lighthouse. And we're going back actually in the spring to photograph everything in bloom because there's gardens surrounding all of it. And all the fruit trees are going to be blossoming.
Now, it was built in the
1920s.
20s, yeah.
And it was built by a silent film star named America Griffith. And in fact, the current owners found a piece of drywall in her bedroom where she had written, "This is the happiest I've ever been right
Wow.
here."
Yeah.
Signed America Griffith.
Home is where the heart is.
That's it.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They framed it. They had the presence of mind to frame it and preserve it. And so I took a picture of that. And they also have framed all the black and white before photos. So I have a feeling it will be published. So people should keep an eye out for that in the next year or so. As you know, it takes a while. But that was a treasure.
Well, now tell us about Crush, because I think that's an interesting story.
So, I'm a photographer, but I really would love...
You're an editor, too.
I know. I feel like I'm also an art director. I always love the power of the printed page, words, text on photos. It's from our magazine days when you used to get all the Polaroids out and put them on you'd open up a file and then, tape them all in, and this is how the story goes. And I just love telling a story that way through magazines.
And you've added video, which I think is terrific.
Added video too. So we came up with. I have a little small team, and it's Crush with a K, Crush iMag, because it's on Instagram.
Right.
And it's we take a story, for instance, like the one I just mentioned, or all of the ones from the past, or one of my travels to Chatsworth in Great Britain, or
Yes, Ballyfin.
Yes. Lisbon, Greece is coming up. Just went there this year. So we do a little 10-page story. And we have a quote from the designer or something about
It's a mini
history.
magazine.
Mini mag.
Right,
Yeah.
which is fabulous.
Mini mag.
Now, where else that you're photographed that you want to tell a special story about?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, there are so many. Well, I think one of my, she was my first client, and I know you admire her a lot, is Joan Benke.
Oh, yes. Very talented lady.
Very talented. And she's so under the radar. She's an artist really herself, and she has a huge business and does amazing, incredible, fully bespoke projects. Everything is just custom. And I photographed a historic house in Bel Air for her. And it looked like Versailles. It was one of those houses that, there's doors along the dining room that then lead to the salon and lead to the living room and lead to the ballroom, on
Gorgeous.
either side, right? Because it's just
The
magical.
thing about her that I am very impressed with is everything she does is effortless. I don't ever see, now you probably know her better than I do, but I never ever see her stress. And she puts together these projects that are incredible.
I know, it's really incredible. I don't see her that stressed. Another thing I share with Joan is actually dance. She was a dance major.
Oh, I didn't
at
know
UCLA, and we both take sometimes the same ballet class. I still take ballet
You
every week.
still do? Now, how
I
many
still do.
years has that been?
Oh my gosh, must I admit? Let's just say 25.
Yeah.
But it's actually more than that.
Well, my wife is 17 years with ballet. And now, as she gets on in years, the doctor always says, you have incredible strength in your legs. And I think that that's very good as you age. Not that you're aging because you're a baby as far as I'm concerned, but dance is such a great exercise.
Yes.
And isn't Pilates part of that?
It's part of it, but you know what's sort of sets dance apart is it's so good for your brain as well. You know, you're doing something creative, you're doing something physical, challenging, and then something that you have to remember, you know, the combinations and all. So it's kind of a one and done, you know, with dance.
Now, tell me a little bit about your childhood. You have incredible parents, but I think what is so interesting is that did you have a dream? Did you know what you wanted to do? Did you know that you wanted to be a photographer or?
I did not.
Involved in design?
Did not. None of it. And, you know, I was raised, my parents are, you know, my dad's passed, but yes, you met them both. They're a lot of fun.
Yes.
And we always had a good time. We were down in Newport Beach. We're always boating and out in the sun and laughing with friends and doing all of that. And I always danced, so that was sort of my creative outlet. And I didn't know I wanted to be a photographer. My whole thing is that if you just show up, remember your pleases and your thank yous, and you do a good
You're
job.
You're very good at that.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. That's ironic. And that the next chapter will be revealed to you. You know, you don't always need to have like, I want to be a fill in the blank, but if you just enjoy each day and then keep doing the very, very best you can, the next thing's going to be, you'll figure it out. And I did not know I wanted to be a photographer. I did not know I loved interior design until I stopped and thought, you know, what's in my head when I enter a room? And I'm like, well, I keep looking at, you know, the floors, the ceiling, the views, the furniture, the textures, I think that's interior design, you know? So it kind of, I sort of just fell into it. I feel like it found me.
Well, can I give you a compliment? You gave me my first break because I wanted to design furniture.
Oh.
And
I know what you're going to say.
This is before I had furniture collections. And you were living in Santa Monica,
Yes,
I believe.
yes.
And you had a really wonderful apartment with a terrace that was bigger than the apartment,
It was,
just about.
yes.
But I remember you saying, well, let's do a photo shoot with your prototypes. And I pieced together these prototypes. I don't even know how. But you really gave me my first showcase for my furniture. And then, of course, I found, an upholstery manufacturer and everything made in the USA. But I thought to myself, well, wasn't that kind of her to take a chance on me?
No, I loved that shoot. Tim Street Porter, a renowned photographer who has wished me well, and he photographed that shoot.
Oh,
I mean, what an amazing day that was.
But every place that you've been to, every place you've lived, always has a special twist. And I thought you turned the apartment next to you. You broke through the wall and created an amazing workplace, really.
I was actually down in Guatemala, where my dad was from, and I was down there taking Spanish, doing some volunteer work, taking salsa lessons, and I got an email from my neighbor that he was moving, and I thought, I wonder what's behind that wall. And they let me bust through, and his old kitchen became my laundry room. His living room became my office. I had a guest room now and a second bathroom and another terrace, and it's still like that. I know
you have an ear for languages too, and we have a dear friend who's Guatemalan. And I asked him, and I said, what is she like with speaking, in your tongue, native tongue? He said, she has the exact dialect of my family. So, I mean, I didn't even know this about you.
I didn't know this about me.
But I can remember you looking at me when we worked together, very similar the way my mother used to look at me. Your eyes would communicate something. You would be rolling them if you was a bad situation or whatever it was. And I think that's a gift too, especially for a photographer, because the eyes are the window to the soul. And I think that you have that ability to go into a space and know exactly where the photo is. And I think that's a wonderful talent.
Thank you. Thank you. That talent, as you say, came into play this last week when I was, as I mentioned before, down in Mexico City with Victoria King, photographing one of her hotels, and it wasn't quite ready. Mm-hmm. And we were a little worried, and we're down at the Starbucks saying, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And I said, give me a minute. And I went back in with my iPhone, and I found the exact angles, just edited it way down, and we were able to focus on those, and I just delivered the photos this morning, and we pulled it off, so
that's amazing.
It does come into play, being able to focus that way and edit things down with your eye.
Well, I think you're selling yourself short, but I am so impressed with your photographs, especially your vignettes. You can go in and you can see something, and you create this beautiful vignette, tablescape or whatever, the famous photographer that called it tablescapes. He coined the word.
Interesting.
And I just think that that's really wonderful. But let's get back to the books that you've worked on. And you've just finished one with Celery.
Celery Kimball.
Kimball. And I knew her mom, and we used to meet for dinner when we were in High Point. Wow. And Celery was just a little teenager at the time. But you created a wonderful story. And where exactly was it?
Yes. So Celery has a resort in the Dominican Republic. And it's called Playa Grande Beach Club. And the book is called Island Whimsy, and it tells the story in Celery's voice. She's a great writer, too, of how it all came about. And it's really so residential. There's, I don't know how many, 6, 7, 8, 9 villas.
Wow.
And when my husband and I, Dan, when we checked in, Celery wasn't there yet. I thought, wow, she really upgraded us. And then I realized they're all this beautiful. It was absolutely incredible. The colors she picked were like confection. We not only enjoyed our week there, but we got the book done. And when she had me come down, she said, I just need a few extra pictures. The book, we're kind of just finishing it up. We're not really sure where the chapters are going to be and all this sort of thing. Well, by the time she arrived, I went crazy. I just couldn't stop shooting. And she said, you've done the whole book.
Now, it's available on Amazon, right?
It is. It is. Yes. Island Whimsy and Celery Kimball.
What is your favorite thing to photograph?
Interiors. There's a funny story about that. When I was at the apartment in Santa Monica, and I was taking photography, Santa Monica College, we had an assignment to shoot something like you would in a magazine, and we even had to do a contributor's picture and the whole bit, and table of contents picture, all the things. And I was going to shoot my niece and sister-in-law at the horse stables, do something there, and my neighbor, Mimi, said something to me. She says, well, what interests you? And I said, interiors. She goes, shoot that. So I called my friend Molly Isaacson, interior designer, and I said, Molly, may I shoot your living room and do a portrait of you with your little dog? And she said, sure. So, at the end of the day, everyone was presenting their projects, and they had these kind of like grungy train track, kind of black and white, downtown LA, gritty photos. And then I had a beautiful living room by Molly Isaacson. And the other students were like, wow, that's really cool. And I was so glad my friend Mimi had said, shoot what you love, and that's really what I love. Every time I show up for a new shoot, it's something new.
Right.
There's no repeating. Every day is so different. Every shoot is so different. Every location. And
well, you're very good with animals, too.
Oh, I do love, especially dogs. I have such a
Yes.
passion for dogs, and
And they relate to you, which I think is really
you.
interesting.
yeah, I love getting dogs in shots. It really warms up a house. It's actually easier for me to shoot than people.
Well, because they're responsive to you as well. Now, I really would like, and I think my listeners would like to know, what are the color trends? You go in and out of all these homes. Is monotone becoming popular? Or I guess it's all over the lot. Are there color volumes that you see that are playing? What do you see as the most
Well,
popular?
personally, I love color, so I think I'm drawn to projects that have color. You know, I will say monotones are very, very popular right now. That's true. But even in those houses, they might have a powder room that they just went for it with the wallpaper and the color. And that's like a little jewel box unto a house, which is so great. And I think that editors really respond to color a lot too. So when people hire me, they usually want to be published. So if your project doesn't look like everyone else's, and it has a really distinctive mix of color, texture, pattern, it's going to stand out. Now, you have to design for your homeowners, of course,
Right.
so they're the ultimate judge. But when I do get a project that has a color element, I know it's usually a big winner.
Now, I know that you also sell your photographs for wall decor. And I can remember a picture, and I have it in my head, of surfers at a beach,
Yes.
or it just is so expressive.
Thank
And
you.
can that be purchased by
It
our
can.
listeners?
That photograph I call Beach Spirits, and it was
Mm-hmm.
photographed on the beach that I grew up on in Newport Beach one September when people had kind of, gone home. It was sort of like locals only, and the surfers were just kind of getting into the water. There's a shot, in the shot is a little girl, running on the beach, and I kind of think that was me on that very, very same sand when I was little. And so it's in the house of my mom and my brother and a lot of other people too. But it's on my website, and this coming year, I'm actually totally revamping the art on my website, and it'll be a lot easier to order and frame and customize, and we're working on that right now.
Well, that's wonderful. And also, do you have any more plans for Crush?
Ooh, well, just more of the same, the behind the scenes videos. I think people really like.
And you're getting the designers involved too.
They
to
are. They
talk.
like to be interviewed.
Yeah.
They do, and everybody wants to know. What was your inspiration, and tell us about this wallpaper. They're only 59 seconds, these videos, but they could go on. And when we have time, when time allows, then we do film them, and it's just sort of a extra fun thing to perk for my clients when they hire me to be on Crush.
Well, as you know, the name of this podcast is Inspired. And tell me a little bit about what inspires you. What keeps you going? Because I know you're a busy lady. You've got loads of designer clients and architects. And I know you love the Jersey Shore.
I do. Joe
Which
Lucas.
I grew up on.
Oh my gosh, yes. Every time I shoot there for Joe Lucas, it's just a sheer joy. As far as what inspires me, it's really the designers and architects. And I love going to historic houses, like I mentioned Chatsworth in the past, to, of course, my travel. It all just kind of comes into play. At times, it's almost overwhelming. And I admire designers so much because they have so many choices, so many fabrics, so many textures and finishes that they can choose from, but they pull that all together. And each room is like a painting unto itself. And that's when I walk into that room, that's what really inspires me, and I want to tell that story on their behalf.
Is there anything in closing that you would like to mention? Something about your passions?
Oh my goodness. Well, I guess I just want to say, thank you. Just a big thank you to all the designers and architects, because if it weren't for them, and I've said this before, I wouldn't have anything to photograph. So it's really because of their creativity, because of their courage to take a leap of faith and get their homeowners to, go into a certain direction and trust them, that we're able to have these amazing, incredible stories, really, that we can tell to others and inspire the next generation.
Well, I know there are a lot of women who are listening to this podcast. Any advice that you can give them to help them follow their dreams?
I would just say photograph what you love, like my friend told me those many years ago, and take lots and lots of pictures. The more you shoot, the better you'll be. And it's really not being the best woman photographer. It's being the best at whatever you do. It's that.
I didn't mean to be sexist.
Oh no, not at all, not at all. But really showing up and doing your very best every day, even if you don't feel like it, which is rare, But really doing your best job. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your clients. You owe it to your family, and that will take you, down the road to the next path.
Well,
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy you were able to spend this time, because I know that you're a busy lady.
Aw.
And I hate to sound like grandpa, but I'm so proud of you.
Aw,
Keep
Joe.
up the good work and keep the eyes focusing on the beauty of life. And that you do so well. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.